Hello everybody, welcome back to Easy Learn, and today's topic is algebra, within which we're going to be doing quadratic equations, and it's practice time today. To begin with, quadratic equations can be solved using three methods, that is the zero factor property, completing the square, and the quadratic formula. All these three have been discussed in the previous videos. You can check the links in the description below, go understand the concept first, and then come back for solving. So today's question is, x squared minus 6x minus 3 equals x minus a squared plus b, where a and b are constants. Find the values of a and b. Hence, solve x squared minus 6x minus 3. Now, if I just move on to solving part, then as you can see, it's a quadratic equation because the format is ax squared plus bx plus c. X squared minus 6x minus 3. It's the same as ax squared plus bx plus c, which means this is a quadratic. Wherever you see an x squared, it has to come to you that this is a quadratic equation. Now, if I want to solve this, I can just simply go ahead with zero factor property, or I can go ahead with my quadratic formula, but that's not exactly how you have to do this. What it says, the first part says, find the values of a and b. And for a and b, as you can see, they've given a specific arrangement, that is x minus a whole squared minus b. Now, if I think about using the quadratic formula just simply gives me the values of x. And a zero factor property gives me factors, let's say something like this, x plus a and x minus b. But as you can see, this particular format is not zero factor property, nor it is the quadratic formula. It is something else. It's basically completing the square. Completing the square arrangement tells me something like this. X plus b over 2a whole squared, and then minus b squared over 4a plus c. So this is the type of arrangement I can use in order to end up in a format like this, x minus a whole squared minus b. So in order to solve that, I need to try out this completing the square arrangement, which says x plus b over 2a and so on. So for that, first of all, what is my quadratic equation? It's x squared minus 6x minus 3. Out of this, I need to figure out my ABC. What's my ABC? Whatever is attached with the x squared has to be my a. So here nothing's attached with the x squared. It's just an invisible 1, you can say. So a becomes 1. My b is the one that is attached with the x. That is negative 6 here. So I'm going to write b equals negative 6. And my c is a standalone number, that is negative 3. So I'm going to write c equals negative 3. Now moving on to this arrangement, x plus b over 2a. Now x, just take it down the way it is. Now x plus b over 2a, my b is negative 6. So I'm just going to write that in a bracket. Negative 6 over 2 times a. A is just 1. So 2 times 1 and then whole squared. Take it outside. There's a minus here now. Now after the minus, I have b squared. So again, my b is negative 6. Gonna take it in brackets. So negative 6 squared over 4 times the a. Again, a is 1, so 4 times 1 plus c. So plus, again, my c is negative 3. So I'm going to take it in a bracket, negative 3. Now I got to open up this entire arrangement so that I get a final answer. So I have x plus. Now, as you can see, there is a minus 6. So this plus we just turn it up into a minus. So I'm going to write x minus 6 over 2. And then there's a whole square there. Minus 6 times minus 6. Basically, minus 6 squared is a positive 36. 6 times 6 is 36. Minus and minus is plus, divided by 4. But this minus right here is already outside. So I'm going to write that minus outside. And then I have a positive 36 on the top and 4 here. And then plus minus 3 means just minus 3. Now I got to open up, simplify. So x minus 6 over 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. And then 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 9 is 36. So if I write that down, x, and then there's a minus, and 2 times 1, as I said, 2, and 2 times 3 is 6. So I have x minus 3 whole squared. And then 4 times 1, 4. 4 times 9, 36. So minus 9 minus 3. Now again, you can solve this minus 9 and minus 3. So x minus 3 whole squared minus 9 minus 3 gives me minus 12. Ta-da! Therefore, I end up in a format that is x minus a whole squared minus b. Now, the question says find the values of a and b. So my a is here and my b is here. So I can say a is equal to 3, b is equal to 12. Now, Make sure that you don't write a is equal to -3 and b is equal to -12, seeing the minus signs, because that's not what it's asked. The negative signs are already given to me outside. A and b is are the values that are missing. If it would say that x plus a, then you would say that okay, it's not plus, it's a negative, and I would write a is equal to -3, but there's already a negative given here. If I say a is -3, then let's say if I open up, so it already says x minus, and if my a was -3, let's say, so negative negative would give me positive, so I would end up in x plus 3, which would be absolutely wrong. That's the reason you will write a equals 3, b equals 12. Therefore, part 1 solved. A equals 3, b equals 12. Moving on, now it says, hence solve x squared minus 6x minus 3. Now, it would not be a very smart idea to solve this one now using the zero factor property or the quadratic formula after already having a completing the square format. You don't really need to get into the whole thing again, figure out a, b, c, and then put it in your quadratic and formula and whatever. You don't have to do that. You just simply have x minus 3 whole squared minus 12, and then equate that to 0. Take your 12 to the other side and just simply solve. So now if I take my 12 to the other side, there's x minus 3 whole squared here. 12 goes to the other side. 12 is negative here, goes to the other side, turns into positive. Square goes to the other side, turns into square root. So x minus 3 is equal to square root of 12. Then I have -3 here. Again, because I have to find x, so I'm going to take my -3 to the other side. So x is equal to positive 3. And then there is a square root of 12. Now, one thing that you need to know is that whenever you take a square root, obviously if you're learning this, you are in higher grades. When you're in higher grades, you must know that when we're taking square roots, it's just not a positive square root. It has to be positive and negative. So there's a positive and negative square root, which means that when I'm taking my 3 to the other side, 3 turned positive, but I still have 3 plus or minus square root of 12, which basically means that the two values of x are going to be, one is going to be 3 plus square root of 12, and one is going to be x equals 3 minus square root of 12. And because obviously this is a quadratic equation and we are trying to find solutions for a quadratic equation, I am obviously going to get two answers for that. Most of the times, 99% of the times, whenever you have quadratic equations, you end up in two answers, and mostly one is a positive answer and one is a negative answer, right? So, and most of the times, otherwise sometimes there's also two negatives and two positives. It really depends, but most of the times it's a negative and a positive. Now, either you can leave the answers in this format, that x is equal to just 3 plus square root of 12 and 3 minus square root of 12, or you simplify, you can just find out the roots and just like that, or the best way is just, simply put that in your calculator and then figure out what's the answer in decimal points. So I'm just going to do 3 plus square root of 12. It gives me something like 6.4641 and so on. So you can just round it up to three significant figures. So I'm going to keep 6.46. So these are my three numbers, means three significant figures, and another value of x. So if I do the same thing with a negative square root of 12, then 3 minus square root of 12 this time is going to give me negative 0.464 and so on. So I'm going to again take three significant figures. 0 is not a significant figure, so it doesn't really hold any value or anything. So I'm just going to write 0 point, and then after that you have to take three numbers, so 0.464. So these are my two answers, 6.46, negative 0.464, and that's pretty much it. Got my values, hence part B is also solved. So that's pretty much it. Whenever you see an arrangement like that, remember this is completing the square, and then you just put in your AB, figure out your ABC out of the quadratic equation, put it in your completing the square, figure out your final arrangement. Once you have your A and B values, just equate it to 0, and then you are going to figure out, just move everything to the other side to find the values of x, and you will most of the times result in two values, one positive and the other one negative. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching Easy Learn. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. If you have any questions, any confusions, you can drop them down in the comment section below.